Welcome back, grade 10. Good to see you. We're back with unit 4, language and power, and today we're going to do the last part of our unit, which is also the last part for this semester actually. Wow, time flies, right? Okay, we are at focus on writing. So if you can open your textbook with me, textbook reading and writing, page 89. So the first thing we're going to do is review the vocabulary that we have been looking at for this whole semester. Read an email message from a non-native speaker of English. In this message to a friend, he describes a visit to his American wife's family. Now complete the letter with the words from the box and use each word only once. We've got assertive, dialect, dominate, exception, excessive, inferior, myth, profanity, proverb, sexism, slang, talkative, synonyms, uniqueness, and valued. I'm going to give you some time to read the letter to Hi Pedro and fill in the blanks with the correct words. Go ahead. Awesome. Okay, that brings us to the part of expansion. We have the chart here which shows basically 13 numbers, and it shows 13, then the nouns, the verb, adjective, and adverb, and this is called part of speech, POS. I want you to complete the chart with the correct word forms of the correct part of speech. You can go online to figure out how it works. I'm gonna give you some time. You're gonna pause your video and fill in the boxes. What is what? Go ahead. Great. That's an important part. Part of speech is a very important part of our language, which brings us now again to another way of looking at the vocab. So basically we first just now looked at the vocab by looking at how the words work in the format of a letter, and then we looked at the words, how do they work in the part of speech, being a noun, verb, adjective, and adverb. Now we're gonna match the word with antonyms, which means the opposite meaning. Synonym is the similar meaning, antonym is the opposite meaning. Okay, so you're gonna do numbers 1 until 9. Number 1, assertiveness. The antonym is timidity. You're not timid when you're assertive because you speak up. So look for the opposite meaning. Go ahead. Okay guys, that brings us to the grammar. I want you to read the conversation between two male friends. How are the bold-faced phrases similar in meaning? And how are they different? Where's your wife today? Oh, she's in her English class. Doesn't she know a lot of English? She does, but she always wants to learn more. I get bored with English. I can't study languages as patiently as she can. My wife is the opposite. She hates learning English. Not as much as I do. No one learns English as slowly as I do. That's not true. You've learned it more quickly than anyone I know. Oh, we got as patiently as slowly as, more quickly than. Okay, that brings us to the grammar of today, which these bold-faced phrases are called comparative adverbs. When we do something which is comparative, means we're comparing two things. And an adverb speaks and modifies a verb. Yeah, so comparative adverbs are used to compare the actions expressed by verbs, okay? So mother learns English as quickly as my father. My sister doesn't learn English as quickly as my brother. Equal, not equal. In this case, we use as. So we're comparing two things to be either equal or not. Actions can be compared by using as, not as, more than, less than. For example, some people study languages more carefully than others, different. Your teacher explains grammar less patiently than mine, different. Yeah? Okay, so when we're making comparison and using adverbs referring to actions, we use these words, these comparative adverbs. Now I would like you to complete the paragraph with the comparative form of the adverb in the parentheses. We've got fluently, rapidly, slowly, skillfully, carefully, and perfectly. Pause your video. Go ahead. Great, 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 great. Is it important? Of course it is, because we so often in our speaking and in our writing especially make comparisons, and we need to know how to do that correctly. You can also refer to your ebook for reading and writing, Unit 4. It has a summary which summarizes this theory again. Now, for your final writing task, which is your writing project, you write a contrast paragraph focusing on 2 or 3 important differences between male and female speech in your home culture, which can be Indonesia, which can be Bali, or even if you want to emphasize it on a smaller scope, even the city or the village you're from. Okay, so one paragraph showing contrast. Now, for your pre-writing, you could use this as a brainstorming graphic organizer. Difference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between males and females. You could use this for your brainstorming. Then you write the contrast, you write an outline, right? First you do the brainstorming, then from there you do the outline, and then you write your paragraph. Now, when contrasting, you explain how 2 or more ideas are different. You can use point-by-point organization. When you use point-by-point organization, the points or ideas in a paragraph are discussed one by one. Now, in this case, it shows us here. Read the paragraph and look at the point-by-point outline on the next page. Complete the outline with the details and examples from the paragraph. So basically here we see an example of a point-by-point outline. The first main point is the formality of the language. The second main point, asking for help. The third main point is topics. And then this is the explanation, right? So how the ideas are organized in the paragraph is one by one, focused on the points. You also have another organization which is called block organization. Then we're focusing on blocking every paragraph with purpose. So we focus on the purpose of the writing instead of the points. But in this case, we're doing point by point. So I want you to fill this out, what the details are, and you can do that by searching through this paragraph to find out what the points are. Pause your video, go ahead. Awesome. Use your notes from Prepare to Write, page 93, yeah, to write the first draft of your paragraph and revise it. Now we're looking at another part, which is using transitions of contrast, which is important because when you go from one point to another, you need to use transitions. Yeah, you're talking about the formality of language, and then you go over to asking for help, and then you go over to continue with topics. So from this point to here, you need to use a transition. From here to here, you need to use a transition, but because you're contrasting, you will use the transitions of contrast. Read a paragraph about the differences in the male and female uses of language. Now look at the bold-faced words. What do they mean? Unlike, on the other hand, however, are all transitions of contrast. They show the differences. So writers use transitions to help readers move from one idea to another. That makes your writing fluent and coherent, as we call it. Otherwise, it's like jumping from one point to another. And we're like, okay, what are you talking about right now? What are you talking about right now? Now, you really want to go from one point, you know, from A to B, from B to C, from C to D, smoothly. So we use transitions. Now, if you're contrasting, then you have to use the transitions of contrast. So transitions help readers understand the relationship between the ideas, and it makes it smooth. Now, a variety of transitions are used to show contrast, which is the differences between the ideas. For example, some transitions of contrast appear at the beginning of a sentence, and then you get a comma. But they can also be placed between a subject and a verb. For instance, however, and on the other hand. Men rarely ask others for directions, however, comma. So if this sentence connector, however, or on the other hand, come at the beginning of a sentence, you always have to give a comma. Yeah, it can also come in the middle of a sentence, but then you would have to use a comma before and after. Comma, on the other hand, comma, like that. Okay? Other transitions that begin a sentence are followed by a noun or noun phrase and a comma. These include unlike and in contrast to. Unlike his wife, comma, in contrast to women, comma. So that means you have to add a noun or a noun phrase. Yeah? So you can't say unlike, comma, and you say unlike his wife, comma, in contrast to women, comma. So when you use unlike and in contrast to, you have to add a noun and then a comma. Awesome. Now you're going to underline the transitions of contrast and rewrite the sentences. Use the transition words in the parentheses. On the other hand, unlike, in contrast to. So first you can look at page 94 and underline the transitions of contrast. Now here, go over this text and underline the transitions of contrast. Awesome. Then we continue. You are going to rewrite the sentences, use the transition in the parentheses, yeah? You can pause your video and do number 1 until 6. Go ahead. Now you go back to the first draft of your paragraph. Where can you add transitions to show the contrast? Have you used clear transitions in your writing already for your journal? And make sure you use the correct transitions, the correct punctuation. Use the vocab and grammar from this unit. Good. Okay, and then you can edit basically your final draft. For your checklist, remember, does your paragraph contain a clear topic sentence stating the main idea? Does it have 2 or 3 main points which are explained, detailed, and with examples? Did you use transitions of contrast between your main points? Are commas used to punctuate transitions? Does your paragraph end with a clear concluding sentence? Does your paragraph include comparative adverb as a grammar? Does it include the new vocab from the unit? Wow. Awesome, exactly. Now that's what we've been looking at today, and which I definitely would want you to incorporate in your writing for your writing project, which is your journal. Okay, now that brought us to the end of the lesson. I'm going to review with you what it is we did today. First off, we reviewed our vocab, finding the correct word in context of the sentence and a whole context of a letter. Awesome means. Then finding the word's correct part of speech, either noun, verb, adjective, or adverb, and finding the antonyms, the opposite meaning of the words. Then we went over our grammar, which was the comparative adverbs: as, not as, more than, less than. Very good, showing a clear comparison. Then we went over your writing project, a clear brainstorm since you're writing a paragraph of contrast, talking about a point-by-point organization where you develop your first main point is your first point, second main point, second point, third main point, third point, which is developed by details, explanation, details and an example, and then linking it back, your P and your PL, right? And then you had to fill out the point-by-point outline by looking at the context. And then we looked at transition words and phrases that we use to make our writing smooth and kind of connect every main point together so it becomes one complete connected text. And so, yeah, since you're writing a contrast paragraph, you have to use transitions of contrast like however, comma, on the other hand, comma, or unlike with the noun, comma, or in contrast to with the noun, comma. And then we had the checklist. Great. All right, it's the end of your lesson. You did an amazing job. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you very soon in our next meeting. Can't wait. Love to see you again. God bless you. Bye-bye.